They don't want you to see this. They'd rather you keep believing everything is under control, that every news story, every strange light in the sky, every technological coincidence is just that, a coincidence. But what if I told you there's a plan? A plan so perfectly designed, it sounds like science fiction. Only it's not. What if the next divine appearance in the sky is actually a hologram? What if the voice of God you hear is just a satellite beaming frequencies into your mind? What if the fear of an alien invasion is the final step to make you obey? It has a name, Project Bluebeam, and what you're about to discover might change the way you see the world and the sky forever. Many people have heard bits and pieces about it, but few know where the theory of Project Bluebeam actually comes from. The man behind it all is Serge Monast, a Canadian investigative journalist, who back in the 1990s claimed that NASA, yes, the same NASA that sends robots to Mars, was involved in a secret global plan. Monast said the goal was simple, yet terrifying. Unite the world under one religion and one government using cutting-edge technology to create a mass illusion. Sounds like a movie script? Maybe, but he swore it was all real. What's even more intriguing is that he published these ideas in books and gave public lectures, but he didn't last long. In 1996, Serge Monast died of a sudden heart attack, and of course that only poured gasoline on the conspiracy fire. Theorists say his death was conveniently too quick right after he claimed to be under surveillance. And let's be honest, how many times have we seen this happen to people who tried to expose something too big? That's when things start getting deeper. According to Monast, NASA not only had the tech to project 3D images into the sky, but also the ability to transmit voices directly into people's heads. And he said this in the 1990s. Today, with augmented reality, holograms, and global communication satellites, is it really so absurd to believe such technology exists? And even stranger, why does this decades-old theory still haunt so many minds today? Topic 2, the 4 stages of Project Bluebeam. How they'd fool the world. According to Serge Monast, Project Bluebeam is not just a single event, but a detailed plan broken into 4 terrifying stages. The first begins with fake earthquakes and manipulated archaeological discoveries. The goal? To destroy the foundation of existing religions by proving that everything we've believed was a misinterpretation. Imagine, for instance, a relic being found that contradicts parts of the Bible or claims that Jesus was actually an extraterrestrial. Outrageous? That's exactly the kind of shock meant to destabilize global faith. The second stage would be the most visual. Massive holographic projections in the sky, visible all over the world at the same time. Every civilization would see its own deity. Krishna, Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha speaking their native language. The idea to unify spirituality in a way that sets the stage for a global messiah. Picture NASA controlling the sky and making billions fall to their knees before something that's not even real. The fusion of faith and technology becomes explosive. Then comes something even darker, using electromagnetic frequencies to control people's thoughts and emotions. Literally, voices would be transmitted into minds, making people think they're hearing divine messages. The fourth and final stage? A fake alien invasion to push the world into a single, centralized government. And here's the twist. What if that last phase has already started, and we didn't even notice? Topic 3. NASA's role and the involvement of world powers. It's no coincidence that NASA's name keeps popping up in this theory. To Bluebeam believers, NASA would be the key player, the agency responsible for the visuals, the satellite coordination, and even the divine voices in people's heads. Who else has the budget, the space infrastructure, and the secrecy needed to pull something like this off? It's like giving the world's greatest magician the biggest stage on Earth, with no one allowed to question the show. But NASA wouldn't be working alone. According to online sources, the UN, powerful corporations, and a shadowy financial elite would all be in on it. We're not talking about the politicians you see on TV. We're talking about the ones behind the curtain, the ones who make the real decisions, the ones who can shut people up with a phone call. And here's the creepiest part. Why does mainstream media barely touch this topic? Could their silence be more than just ignorance? Anyone paying attention to military tech knows about directed energy weapons, autonomous drones, and experimental satellites. Now imagine those tools being used not in war, but to influence human perception. If satellites can scan your brain and drones can mimic human voices, what else is already possible? And are we already too late to stop it? Topic 4. Mysterious drones, UFOs, and the events that reignited the theory. In 2024, something seemingly small reignited the fire. Mysterious drones were seen flying over US military bases and restricted areas, But these weren't ordinary drones. They flew in formation, completely silent, and avoided interception, as if they knew the rules. For many, this wasn't surveillance. It was a rehearsal, a test for the final stage of Project Bluebeam. Soon, voices with massive reach began speaking up. Conservative figures like Charlie Kirk, celebrities like Roseanne Barr, all suggesting is a fake alien invasion on the way. With NASA unable to explain many recent UFO sightings, the dots began to connect. What was once dismissed as fantasy suddenly felt like preparation. Mainstream media either mocked or ignored it. But those who pay attention saw a pattern. Sightings increased, fear spread, and people began to look up at the sky differently. Could these drones just be the beginning? A prelude to something far more orchestrated? Topic 5. Simulating the second coming of Christ with sky holograms. Imagine looking up at the sky and seeing Jesus or Buddha or Allah speaking to you. Imagine your neighbor sees the same vision, but in their own language and religion. According to Project Bluebeam believers, NASA would use satellites and holograms to project divine figures across the globe. Each person would see what convinces them most. These projections wouldn't just look real, they'd sound real. Inner voices speaking to individuals, convincing them of a holy event. And when billions are brought to tears, kneeling before what they believe to be a miracle, who would question it? Not many. That's the terrifying part. A global religious collapse could follow, faiths would be shaken, chaos would rise, and from that chaos, a new world truth would emerge, orchestrated by those who control the illusion. If this is the plan, we must ask, what happens if the illusion is exposed mid-show? Topic 6. Mind control, sound frequencies, and mental manipulation. What if you couldn't trust your own thoughts? That's the fear behind the third stage of Project Bluebeam. Using low-frequency waves and advanced tech, NASA could, according to the theory, transmit feelings, voices, and even beliefs directly into the brain. No wires, no warnings, just thoughts that feel like your own. Sounds like science fiction? Maybe, but military-grade tech already exists that manipulates brain signals, frequencies that influence moods, devices that alter behavior. Now imagine that deployed on a global scale, not to fight a war, but to control what you believe. That's what makes this terrifying. The subtlety. No gunfire, no tanks, just a message beamed into your consciousness. If this technology exists and is already being tested, how do we know what's truly ours and what's just part of the program? Topic 7. The fake alien invasion, the final move toward a new world order. This is the final act, the one that changes everything. According to Monastas, Project Bluebeam would end with the simulation of an alien attack. Not real aliens, but perfectly choreographed spacecrafts using advanced tech to appear threatening. It would be the ultimate fear trigger. The plan? Unite humanity under one government, a global authority promising protection from a common enemy. It's not a new idea. History shows us that fear has always been the fastest way to control the masses. A fake war could create very real obedience. And the scariest part, we've seen it before. Like when a 1938 radio broadcast caused mass panic over a fictional alien invasion. That was just a voice. Now imagine what could happen with full visual effects, satellites, and government backing. Would people even question it? Topic 8. Media silence and the role of disinformation. One of the strangest pieces of this puzzle is the silence. For something this massive, why don't we hear about it on the news? Why is it treated like a joke, or not mentioned at all? According to believers, that silence is intentional, a coordinated effort to keep the truth buried. The mainstream media, they argue, doesn't just ignore, it redirects. While people focus on scandals or celebrity gossip, the real operations unfold quietly. NASA, governments, and global elites keep the show running, while the audience looks the other way. And when real questions do arise, like drone sightings or classified UFO files, they're buried under ridicule. It's not about proving it wrong. It's about making it too crazy to believe. But if it were false, wouldn't it be easier to just prove it and move on? Topic 9. Social media's role in resurrecting the theory. While traditional media stays silent, social media became the new battlefield. It's here that Project Bluebeam resurfaced, with videos, leaked files, and user theories spreading like wildfire. TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, the new arenas of truth and deception. Clips of strange lights, voices in the sky, alleged NASA whistleblowers. Algorithms may bury some, but the most powerful ones rise to the top and spark millions of views. Whether real or fake, the impact is the same. People start asking questions again. But with that power comes risk. Bots, suppression, digital censorship. All can be used to steer public opinion. So if the new war is over, what we believe, then every scroll, like, and share becomes part of the battle. Topic 10. The dangers of exposing the theory. Disappearances and silent threats. Serge Monas died suddenly, and he wasn't the only one. Over the years, others who spoke about Project Bluebeam or other classified NASA programs have reported being followed, threatened, or silenced. Some vanished entirely. Coincidence? Or cleanup? There's a chilling pattern. First, a person speaks out. Then, a tragic accident, a heart attack, a car crash, a suicide. Bluebeam believers call this selective silence, removing voices that get too close to the truth. Still, the digital age makes silencing harder. A new wave of truth seekers posts faster than secrets can be buried. But if that's a threat to the plan, will we see a new era of suppression? Or has the truth already spread too far to be stopped? Topic 11. Biblical and spiritual connections to the theory. Many point to the Bible, especially the book of Revelation, when discussing Project Bluebeam. Verses about false prophets, signs in the heavens, and great deceptions sound eerily similar to the theory's stages. Could ancient texts have warned us all along? If so, NASA becomes more than a tech agency. It becomes a tool in a spiritual war, one that replaces faith with illusion, a digital god, a holographic savior, a satellite-powered second coming. When technology mimics divinity, confusion spreads. Some may kneel to the vision, others may reject it, but everyone will question reality, and maybe that's the point. Topic 12. AI, deepfakes, and the new frontier of deception. Back in the 90s, the idea of a fake Jesus in the sky sounded absurd. But today, with deepfakes, AI-generated voices, and ultra-realistic CGI, anything can be forged. Your face, your words, your God. These tools already manipulate politics, media, even finance. So what if they're just a test? What if the real goal is spiritual control, replacing truth with programmable illusion? Bluebeam with AI wouldn't need satellites, just a screen and belief. And when people can't trust their own senses, they turn to whoever offers answers. That's when control becomes effortless. Topic 13. Fear as a weapon of control. Fear has always been the fastest way to change behavior. Wars, diseases, economic collapse. When people panic, they obey. Project Bluebeam would be no different. Just replace tanks with visions and bullets with messages. History shows that fear makes people give up freedom for safety. A fake alien war, a false religious awakening, all perfect scenarios for a global reset. Order out of chaos. And maybe we've already been conditioned. Movies, series, news, all painting the same storylines, all shaping our expectations. So when the event arrives, we'll already know how to react. Topic 14. The global elite and the engineering of belief. Behind every theory is a puppeteer, or several. Bluebeam followers believe in an elite cabal, not just of billionaires, but of controllers, of finance, media, and culture. Not just influencing what we see, but what we believe. This is belief engineering, creating a world where everyone accepts the same truth because every authority, TV, church, school, app says the same thing, and those who disagree, silenced, banned, laughed at. So ask yourself, if every voice says the same thing, is it truth or is it a script? Topic 15. What if it's all true? The future of humanity, let's assume, just for a moment, that all of this is real. That Project Bluebeam is active. That NASA is orchestrating illusions. That we're already halfway through the plan. What would that mean for us? Reality would no longer be reliable. Faith? Artificial. Free will? Hijacked. In such a world, who are we really? Spectators in a cosmic play directed from space. But maybe the worst part isn't the plan. Maybe it's that we're too distracted to notice, or too scared to care. Maybe the real test is happening now. Behind every theory is a puppeteer, or several. Bluebeam followers believe in an elite cabal, not just of billionaires, but of controllers, of finance, media, and culture. Not just influencing what we see, but what we believe. This is belief engineering, creating a world where everyone accepts the same truth because every authority, TV, church, school, app says the same thing. And those who disagree, silenced, banned, laughed at. So ask yourself, if every voice says the same thing, is it truth Or is it a script? Let's assume just for a moment that all of this is real, that Project Bluebeam is active, that NASA is orchestrating illusions, that we're already halfway through the plan. What would that mean for us? Reality would no longer be reliable. Faith, artificial. Free will, hijacked. In such a world, who are we really? Spectators in a cosmic play, directed from space. But maybe the worst part isn't the plan. Maybe it's that we're too distracted to notice, or too scared to care. Maybe the real test is happening now. So now tell me, what if it's already happening? What if every drone sighting, every unexplained NASA report, every censored video was part of something bigger? How much of your faith, your freedom, your perception still belongs to you? This video wasn't meant to scare you. It was meant to wake you up. Because silence is easy, ignorance is comfortable, but the truth, it demands courage. Will you keep living under the illusion, or start asking the questions that really matter? If this made you think, reflect, or even doubt what you thought you knew, subscribe, hit the bell, there's much more to uncover. And remember, what you see isn't always what's there, and what isn't supposed to be there might be exactly what you need to see.